Hello. Welcome. I'm sorry for laughing, guys. Welcome to another episode. First of all, I want to thank you guys. Thank you for the positive energy, love, and support that we received from our last episode. First, let me just say it. It was my first episode behind the mic. I've never done it before. It's not part of my job. I was just trying something new. And actually, guys, I'm starting to enjoy it. I think I have passion for telling stories. I never thought of myself as a good storyteller, mainly because I mix up the events. I don't know. I never thought myself as a good storyteller, but podcasting seems different. It seems like it's a way of understanding me. It's a way of communicating, and the more I communicate, the more these things sink into me. So thank you guys for the love and for sharing the podcast. I have to make it clear that this is not going to be a one-dimensional podcast. It's going to have different aspects to it. I do want to have a chat with my friends over some topics, invite them as guests, have a good laugh, have a good energy. But sometimes I'm just going to be riding solo and talking about things that are worth discussing, whether it's personal things or whether it's something that is related to the job that I do. I'm just going to have that. One of the things that was bothering me or was hindering me from starting the podcast is because I was struggling to find my target audience. I think I was just looking at everybody, and the moment I paused and started to think, who may benefit from listening to this? Who am I making this for? And I was like, yes, it's someone who have been where I've been, someone who struggled with finding themselves, finding their voice, someone who had insecurities, someone who sometimes felt like on top of the world, but the next morning doubted their strength, doubted everything, So that is the person who's going through that journey. Today, I want to talk about a topic that I think it still affects me today. Some of my friends are going through it, and sometimes I just don't know what to say to them. Because before, when somebody tells me they've lost someone they love, I would just talk to them and say, just polish it. I would say, oh, you're gonna be strong. Something like light, you're gonna be strong. I know you will be overcome this, something. But that lessen the pain that they have, that overshadows the pain that they are feeling. It says, oh, this is not. When I say that to you, when I say, oh, you're gonna be strong, friend, you're gonna be fine, you'll get through this, it says, this is nothing. That is what it translates. It says, this is nothing, you're just gonna get over it. But grief is something huge. It takes time. It takes years. Just to share my own personal story, I lost my mother when I was doing grade 9. It was December. I think it was December 2012. It was 31st of December 2012. I wasn't home. I visited my mother's side, my grandmother's side, on my mother's family, and I was staying there for holidays. I remember the last call that I had with my mother. She was asking me when I'm coming back. And I was like, hell no, I'm not coming back. So, because during December holidays at home, there's all these people, right? So I grew up in a rural area, obviously. So the culture in rural area is men or the husbands, they go to Johannesburg to work during the whole year. And in December they come back, and there's a lot of things happening. I mean, events and everything. So I'll be helping a lot with I always helped her. I'll be helping my mother with all the chores. I mean, the cooking, the cleaning, the collecting the firewood, the water, So when I'm not home, she will struggle. And I'm the eldest son, so I had a lot of let's say teachings passed down to me, like how to cook. She taught me how to cook, and she taught me everything. So that's the last call that I had with her. Like, when are you coming back? And I was just like, no, like, no, bitch, I'm not coming back. But at that time also, I didn't have like a good relationship with my mother. Not, I wouldn't say good, but I didn't have a stronger relationship that I wanted to have with her, because my mother was strict. He was a strict woman, and I don't know, that is how he was raised, and he also passed down to his children. I still saw her as, let's say, someone that I feared, Yeah, someone that I feared. She was strict, and so, like, when you make a mistakes, they were punishable. That is the kind of a household that I grew under. But also, I don't want to talk about this topic like a lot to lose the context, because I'm talking about grief today. So she died, she passed away. And I remember, for me, traveling back now, hearing the news and going back to at home to prepare for the funeral. It was still, like, just bland in my, I don't, how old was I? I think I was like 18, 19 in 2012, somewhere around that age. But when the funeral was done, and you realize that, oh my God, my mother is gone. That is it. It's different, guys. It's different from. Luckily, I still had my father who was supporting, but I never healed completely from that experience until, even, let's say, 2 years, 1 year. I mean, even now, I'm still trying to digest the things that I had to feel, that I had to feel, but I didn't feel them, because I think I just tried to bury all that and try to, like, move on. I read a quote one day that it said, "You are not forgetful. It's because you had memories that you try to forget about." And I think that's what happens when you lose someone. You try to forget some of those bad things that happened to you, and sometimes you're like, I don't remember that, but it's just because you try to forget it. So I will say to someone who's grieving, go and seek help. If there's one thing that I wish I would have done at that time, was to go, like, through counseling, just to talk about emotions and all that. It's very important, which is one thing that I would advise for seafarers. I mean, I had a medical aid, I think 2 years ago. And one time I was on a ship thinking, why am I paying for this medical aid? I was paying for like 2,300 for medical aid. And I was just asking myself, why am I paying for this? And I was thinking about canceling it until something happened to me. And I was like, oof. I don't know if I called it to myself or something, but that was a hit. So I'm going to come back to that topic, guys, later. Talking about grief, right? It was different. So that was in 2012 when I lost my mother. And in 2019 when my father passed away, it was different. It was different. I don't know. It was really. I hadn't. I didn't have emotional connection to my father, to my both parents, because the mainly reason why I didn't have emotional connection to them is because we had a different relationship. They were strict. As I said, everybody knew like my mother was strict, but as a first son, or as the eldest son, I grew to like resent them, let's say, because I never felt loved by them. I never felt loved by them, which is, I don't want to stand here and talk about like how household domestic abuse and all that, but it's something that I experienced growing under my parents. So, which I wish I had a good relationship with them, but when I talk about these things to my then family members, they understand, they know, but they were like, "Oh, I'm good. They did that. Look at where you are now." They will say some things like that, but guys, it's not about you having strict parents who punish you for your mistakes that it's helped shaped you, because look at us now. I mean, we are still dealing with those things of self-love, because the reason we struggle with self-love, this is something that I've learned before again, is that we didn't feel like we are worthy of love growing up. We didn't. If your parents punishes you, takes a stick and just like hit you all over the body, and you cry, and that doesn't feel like love, and that's someone that you trust. It doesn't show like love, because love will be like, I love you so much, I wouldn't want to hurt you, I wouldn't want to make you cry. So that translates to how we feel about ourselves growing up. So yes, there is a lot of things that we have to unlearn, but some of the things that we are going through, we just have to be careful how we respond to other people who are going through those things. This is what I'm trying to say. There is a term that they use. It's called toxic positivity, which is the first thing that I talked about when you respond to someone who's going through grief. Understand their emotions, understand how they feel, what they are going through, and instead of offering like your advice, you can just say, yes, give it to the universe. There's a book that is about toxic positivity, guys. I bought the book, but I haven't read it. My friend told me about it. He said it's a masterpiece. The book is by, I'll check the name now. So the book is by Whitney Goodman, you guys. It's called Toxic Positivity. I haven't read it, but my friend suggested for me to go through it. So about grief can also mean different things. It may not be about you losing your parents. It may also be about you losing yourself, going through something. This I had to learn when I got through. So I was on a ship, as I told you about my medical story, that something happened. My medical aid story, that something happened. So I was on a ship. This was in beginning of this year, 2024. It was around 5th of January. So in October previous year, I had like, it was a small illness, let's say. I had like stomach pain, right? So, and at that time there was like medication on board. I drank like charcoal, and I became fine, but it was really bad stomach pain. I couldn't like stand tall. I was off duty the whole day. But after I drank that charcoal, I became fine. So I thought it was maybe something that I ate. I actually drank soda. I drank soda drink before that day. I'm not saying it causes it. I'm just saying that that is what happened. Probably it's not soda drink because later I figured out. So in October I had that, and I became fine. But beginning of this year, it was January 5th, I had that thing again came back to me. At that time, I don't think I drank anything. It just happened. It was morning. When I woke up, I just felt some discomfort in my stomach, right? So I'm like, okay. When I woke up, it was still fine. But as I go to the bridge to take over the watch and just walking more steps, these discomforts grew stronger, you guys. So, and at one point, I couldn't stand now. I was just like trying to like lean on a chair, lean on a table or something. That's when I knew that, okay, something is wrong, but I just didn't know what it is. So, and I asked for medication. One thing that I would say, it's when you are sick, it just teaches you a lot about people. You just learn a lot. At that point, I really learned a lot going through that. And so after that, I think we're supposed to have drills afternoon, and I'm somebody who's strong who pretends to be strong on the outside, even though I really need help. But I just didn't make it like a big thing. I was like, it's probably gonna pass. So I just said, I'm not going to attend the drills. So, but I just didn't make it like a big thing that, hey, I am sick, because, yeah, I still had that shell. So I go to my cabin, I stay there, and this thing is intensifying. So here in my cabin, and I remember going up to the bridge and asking, I actually tried to heal myself, but it didn't work. Later on, I don't want to get into details of it, everything that happened, because I don't want it to be held against me. So, and one time the management realized that, oh, he is sick, and then they started to attend to me, but I believe it was also like late. But those guys saved my life. We were navigating in Suez Canal. So we just entered the Red Sea. We exited the Suez Canal, and we're going to reach, it's called Java. Yeah, the Saudi Arabia. And Java, I don't remember. So, and then we were going to reach that area in few days, or in few hours. This was the next morning that we reached that area. So, me being sick, and then they had to ask the nearest call station for medical assistance. And then I was arranged to go on a tug, and then I was transferred ashore. I still didn't know what was wrong with me. I still didn't. I heard guys, because I never heard about appendicitis before. I'm a healthy person. I thought I'm a healthy person. I exercise. I eat right. I thought appendix was for like older people. I never thought it affects anybody. So yes, I was diagnosed with appendicitis, you guys. And if I just put in one word, it was a very traumatic experience. Not traumatic, but I had good lessons on that journey. I had good lessons, but it's something that I wouldn't wish for anybody. If you have it, or if you had some signs of it's usually your lower abdomen on the right hand. You usually feel some pain there, But in my case, they found it was already like burst, which was like, if we were in the middle of ocean or somewhere, I was probably gonna die. I was probably gonna die because the whole thing will travel to they call obsession. There's just a lot of things happening there. I'm not a medical practitioner, so I don't want to say wrong things. So they call it when this pus is traveling around and it's causing infection everywhere. So you actually could possibly die if you are not treated immediately, which in my case, I was on board a ship and this was something that was serious. So after that experience, my point is, after that experience, you guys, I struggled to I had to grieve the loss, because so I go to the hospital. Obviously I'm not eating, I'm waiting for the surgery, and mind you, I've always been scared of death. If I go to the hospital, for me it's like, and in that case I was thinking, okay, this is probably the time that I'm gonna die. At home where I'm coming from, we have always had that thing of like people passing away without major sickness. I mean, it happened to my mother and my father and my other family members. They just small sickness and they are dead. So for me, there was a time when I thought, okay, this is the time now. I have to face death, which I've always been afraid of death. And so here I am, I'm going to this tug from a ship and I'm going to hospital. We land on the quayside and there is the ambulance waiting for me. And these guys, they don't speak English now. So I go inside the ambulance, they go around and there's bumps. So every time the ambulance hit these bumps, I just feel like, oof, it was tough. And it seemed like these guys really didn't care because they were just driving, boom, boom, on the speed bumps. It felt like 1 hour. It felt like forever they were going around because I was just in so much pain. And then we get to the hospital. What first hospital that we went, I don't remember how many hospitals we went to trying to admit me. They asked for my Siemens, and when you are sick, when somebody asks you some question, you don't feel like you go to the same place, they ask you the same question. I think we went to like 3 hospitals where they are asking, what is your pain, when did it start, It was so annoying, guys. But yes, I understand what they had to do it. And then finally we found one hospital where they admitted me, emergency section. And then I went there, they took the blood test, they took everything. At that point, I still don't know that I have a burst appendix. I still don't know that, because if they asked me, I just said, oh, the pain started yesterday, because I didn't know when did it burst really. I started feeling pain yesterday, but I was like in an emergency situation. So finally we get to the bed. The doctor comes in and tells me, we have done the CT scan, we have done everything. So the doctor comes in and tells me that it's an appendix. They're going to, he just assures me, he's like, we're gonna get you, we're gonna help you, But I was still shocked, like, me, appendix, why? So I had to go on Google. My battery was running low. I had to go on Google and check about appendix and check the procedure, because I was still satisfied. I was still like traumatized or scared of the idea of surgery. Somebody's gonna open my intestines. That means death, So I, as traumatized as I am, as in pain as I was, and having to face my fears, having to deal with this situation now, I search on Google, I search on YouTube, how do they do the surgery? and then I gain some balance. I gain some, let's say, stability. I was just like, okay, saying, okay, Father, okay, okay. But I still remember at that point, I still haven't given up on myself, you know. Even though I was like go to the surgery first time, never been, scared of death, blah blah blah. I still didn't think I it was really time for me to die, you know. I mean, it was at the back of my mind that it's possible, but there was just that thing that says, no, no, it cannot be. I still have more to do. And you guys, you can say, your appendix. No, it's because of my mindset at that time. You know, I told you I grew up in a place where people get small sickness and they die. And every time you grow up there, you are reminded that, you know what, you are not safe, you may die, da 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 da. So that is mainly from that. I still had that mindset ingrained with me. So, and then I go to the surgery. I go to the room. The guys were very kind. Actually, they were cute too. On the surgery room, on the white room, it's like whites, everything. The theater, they call it theater. Yeah, they were. I remember there was one guy who was brown, one brown guy. He was so cute. When I saw him, I was like, yes, please, do it. Cut me open. I'm joking. So I saw him and I felt, and he's the guy who actually put the anesthesia on my back. He went on with his long syringe, and he syringed my like on my. I felt like it was my spine, on my spine. So, and before I know it, okay, that doctor did something that I hated though, because he tried to test if I can still feel. I mean, my eyes were open, and he went on with his tool. He picked on my stomach, and I felt that pain. That is something that I will never forget. I hated that. So after that, I was sleeping, and I don't remember what they did. I don't recall anything that they did. And then the next thing, I woke up. I was already in bed with all these tubes attached to me. So I had a one tube on my for oxygen, and it was going inside, like inside the nostrils. I don't know how deep it was, but it was quite deep, you guys. Was it for oxygen? I don't know, but it was going through my thing. Yeah, some tube. There was some tube there. I remember that, and I had one tube for draining the abscession, the liquid that has been dislocated. You know, I had one on the left of the abdomen, and then one on the right, and I had another tube on the right that was connected to the cut. So they did me like two cuts. There was one cut from like the bottom of the middle stomach, was it? You see, from your, so you have your chest, right? And you have this thing down, that hollow thing down the chest, and just few inches down, that's when they started like my cuts, and then going down to above the belly button, and then the second cut on the right abdomen, which is where they removed the appendix. So this middle cut, when they said they were cleaning, because I had a pus situation, so the liquid or the pus just spread all over. So they were trying to clean that. And so I had that tube. The last tube was connected on the cut on the right, and then one more was connected on my Catherine, what they call Catherine. for urine. It was connected on my bladder for urine. So at that point, of course, I was weak. I couldn't stand. I was just hopeless. My battery was low. My phone was off already. So it was just me, my thoughts, and the situation that I was in. Mind you, I am a person who always, at that point, I was feeling confident with my body. I mean, I was working out. And here I am. I was just wasted with eyes in deep down in my sockets because I haven't been eating. And I think the surgery just took a toll on my body. And even now, I still feel like my face skin is still a little bit dull. So that time though, the things that I learned from that journey, because my phone was off for like 5 days. I asked one guy to charge it, he couldn't charge it. He broke my charger. That's one thing also I won't forget. One thing that I learned from that experience, you guys, because I was just sleeping in bed most of the time with my thoughts, sleeping in bed, waking up, walking around with my thoughts. I think I gained clarity. Of what life is about. I mean, what is important in life. I remember before going to the surgery, I was so I wouldn't say peaceful, but I was ready. At one point, I was ready for the outcome. I was really ready, you guys. Whatever outcome may be, I was ready. But coming outside and seeing this new world now, where I have lost a sense of myself, or something that I thought it was me, which was my body. I tried to find myself. I remember looking at the mirror for the first time after like 3 days, because every time I passed through the mirror, I just tried to ignore it. I think it was after 3 days, when following my surgery, that I started to look in the mirror and see the cuts and see and I just stood there. I laughed. I remember laughing. Like, oh my God, this is you. But I had a revelation at that time. I had a beautiful revelation. It's something that I had to interpret when I was reading a book. It's called Dying to Be Me. I haven't finished the book, but it's called Dying to Be Me by, I'll tell you the name now. The book is Dying to Be Me by Anita Moorjani. So she's a writer. She was living in Hong Kong, and she had a near death experience because she was diagnosed with cancer. It's a beautiful book, but I have read 68% of the pages. I thought it was, some topics are great to digest when you are going through that situation, or if you are healing from grief. It's a beautiful book. But at that point, I think I was getting more consumed into like that situation, that I sort of started to relive it again. So I just stopped reading it. But it's a beautiful book. I would suggest somebody who's dealing with grief to check out that book. As I said, grief may be something more than just losing someone. It's about losing yourself. Is there something happened to you, like an accident, or trying to love yourself again? You are dealing with grief. And from that experience, as I said, guys, I just learned also about the people who care about me. It's so, because I had friends who were worried and who were calling the company, asking what's happening. And I couldn't tell them anything because my phone was off. I was just there. And at that time, I didn't even know when they were going to discharge me. I didn't know anything. But I want to thank the people who made sure my life was saved. I want to thank the people who showed me love when I needed most, who supported me when I needed it most. And I want to thank the people who never gave up on me. This was today. This is the episode for today, guys. I am just talking about grief, and I don't know if I said it correctly, but if you don't know what to say to someone who's going through grief, the best you can just say, I love you and I'm here for you. That is enough. I love you and I'm here for you. Because sometimes, yes, words are hard to come by. Thank you guys for listening. Please share with your friend who may benefit, or you can simply follow us on Spotify. I'll also post this on YouTube. And I hope you guys understand this is not something that I'm going to be doing all the time. I do want to get to express my vulnerable side, but I also will be having fun on this episode, on this podcast. So enjoy it while it lasts. And thank you for listening. See you on the next one.